So we're back. ELA3 Part 2. We just read Ain't I a Woman by Sojourner Truth. And now we're going to be answering the questions, speech comprehension questions, which you designed your Google Doc to represent earlier in the previous video. So let's go through these questions together. Please type everything that I type. You can always pause after every question to make sure you get everything written down. And then at the end, when you reshare the document with me, you'll get credit for all of that work. Okay, question number 1. What can you infer about the historical context of this speech, and how do you know? All right, so that's just a fancy way of saying what's going on in history, and how do we figure it out based on the speech that we've just read? Well, it's 1851, we know that, but she doesn't say that in the speech. But we do know that she's a runaway slave, and that she's addressing specifically equality for blacks and women. So, a very simple way of explaining things could just be truth is living in a time where women and blacks are not treated equal to white men. We know this because she is addressing the inequality and calling out men to stop treating others as if below them. We'll get more into it in a little bit. You can pause it if you need to keep typing, or you keep going with me. Question number 2. Evaluate how Truth opens and closes her speech. So let's look at the opening first. Well, children, where there is so much racket, there must be something out of kilter. I think that twixt the Negroes of the South and the women at the North, all talking about rights, the white men will be in a fix pretty soon. But what's all this here talking about? Okay, well, Truth starts her speech by calling the audience children. Now, she doesn't do that to be condescending, but she uses it because it's going to imply that she's older and has wisdom. This would imply that she is older and has wisdom. She also identifies that there is an issue that needs to be addressed. Now, if we look at the ending of the speech, we have obliged to you for hearing me, and now old Sojourner ain't got nothing more to say. Okay, obliged is a nice way of saying thanks. So she thanks everyone for listening and reminds them all again that she is old and seemingly wise. Question number 3. What were Truth's feelings concerning the traditional roles and status of women? So right here, that man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Okay, so first of all, women are seen as weak, oh, come on, Larson, and in need of men's protection. They have to get us up in carriages, for goodness gracious sake. But then she says in the next line, look at me, look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could heed me, and ain't I a woman? But she's arguing that women can be as strong as men. They can take care of themselves. Awesome. Number 4. Is this speech Truth's summarization of the time period or a critique on it? How do you know? So summarization would imply that we have a series of events, like a timeline, and a critique is pretty much calling people to the carpet. I think it's obvious to see that this is a critique because she's calling out men. She does it a few times. She says, that man over there. This speech is a critique on the status of women and blacks in America. We know this because she calls out the white men around her. I love this lady. Number 5, throughout this speech, Sojourner Truth repeats the phrase, "Ain't I a woman?" Why do you think she chose to repeat this? Well, I mean, think about it. She really wants to make sure, Truth really wants to emphasize that she's a woman and she's capable. And that didn't hold her back. She's probably done more things fighting-wise, strength-wise, than a typical man would do, especially for that time period. So she really wants to emphasize that she is a woman and very capable of taking care of herself. And maybe even being stronger, having strength that surpasses a man. Beautiful. Number 6. What do you believe Truth's claim is in this speech? So claim is what's the whole purpose? Where and how does she acknowledge and refute a counterclaim? Okay, so she clearly believes that women and blacks should be treated equal. So we'll write that. Truth's claim is that women and blacks should be treated equally. Okay, the counterclaim, which is a great one, comes here, and it's actually going to roll into our next question. She counterclaims here. Then that little man in black there, he says women can't have as much rights as men because Christ wasn't a woman. Where did your Christ come from? Where did your Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man had nothing to do with him. So she calls out, the counterclaim is that Jesus was a male, so men must be superior. However, she points out that man had nothing to do with Jesus' arrival. It was God and a woman, aka Mary. Oops. There we go. Number 7. At the end of the speech, Truth says, again, this is the thing we just read, man had nothing to do with him, speaking of Jesus. What does she mean by this? The fact of the matter is that man, or men, are using the Bible to justify their actions. And she is reminding them about what is truly written there. And the role of men at the arrival of Jesus. Awesome. Number 8. Truth poses the question, what does intellect have to do with women's rights or Negroes' rights? Discuss why she even brings up intellect and then answer her question. Okay, so that's right here. She says, they talk about this thing in the head. What do they call it? Intellect. That's it, honey. That's what's got to do with women's rights or Negroes' rights. If my cup won't hold but a pint and yours holds a quart, wouldn't you be mean not to let me have my little half measure full? She's pretty much saying, Truth believes that no matter what a person's intellect is, they should have the same rights as others. It really doesn't matter who you are, you should have equality. Number 9. Do you believe that Truth is a strong woman? Why or why not? Give at least one example from the speech. Okay, so my thing is this. She is definitely a strong woman in my book because she talks about, where is it? I have borne 13 children and seen most of all sold off into slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me, and ain't I a woman? So for me, number 9 is Truth is very strong, especially because she has 4 children, which is, well, 13 children, which is physically strong, and watch them be taken from her, which in my opinion is emotionally strong, maybe even spiritually strong. So that's like both physical and mental. Number 10 is for you to answer on your own, but we're going to talk about it so that you can think about it. So 10 says, based on today's reading, what thoughts do you have about the essential question? What is the relationship between strength and adversity? Okay, so you have to pretty much explain to me how strength and adversity, which is how you face things when you have a challenge, go hand in hand. Why do you need one when you have the other? If you want to give me an example, that works too. All right. When you complete these questions, that includes number 10, you have to, oh, I wrote suing, not suing, using. So silly. When you've completed number 10, I ask you kindly to go back up and hit the share button again and share it again to me so that it pops at the top of my email list so I can immediately grade it and put it in my grade book. Okay? If you have any questions, of course, please email me. I miss you, and I'll talk to you soon. I'll also make another video for section 3, and we'll just keep going every day until you get all the work done. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.